when I was 17, my parents were no longer around, so I was pretty independent from that point on. And then, I thought, wow, life's too short. I really owe him to at least give it a go. If I'm going to do it, now's the time. Lying to myself, because I wasn't happy. But even though my job was all right, I've always been a creative person, and that job was not creative at all what I used to do. The job I do now is perfect for me. Every job I go into, I go in nervous, especially if it's something new, slightly bigger than what I did last time. I go in nervous thinking, can I do this? And every time it comes out great. But I've sort of trained my mind to think, you worry about this every time and it always comes out great. Be more confident. The weekends are perfect. Yes, you're gonna have to make some sacrifice. In the early year or two, I wasn't having days off at all. I might have one weekend out of the month. Turn up to a job and all you can do is just put your best foot forward.
So we are back with another Trade Legends podcast and have another fantastic guest. And we haven't had a carpenter on for a while, have we, Jack?
It's been a while.
So it's been a while, and I always love, I don't know what it is, I'm a bit obsessive with, like, I'm going to say wood, but it sounds a bit odd, doesn't it, as a guy, you're obsessive with wood.
I am myself.
But I just love seeing the types of things that people like yourself make. And it just always amazes me what you can actually do with it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing material.
You see so many different styles of doing something, and there's loads of different ways. And I think overall, carpentry has a lot more to it than, say, and I'm going to piss off some of the plumbers here, plumbing, but that might just be my own perspective and my own opinion. But I want to welcome Nook Carpenter.
Thank you for having me.
Carlton. And basically what we do on the show is we like to get people like yourself on. I sort of perused your social media, and like I say, like I always look at somebody's work, how they come across on camera, can they hold a conversation? Because obviously we're on a podcast.
Yep.
And I just loved the work, and I found that I was scrolling back and I was like, hold on a minute, I've been on here for a while now. I'll just message you and get you on, and you can come and talk about all the stuff that I'm looking at. But yeah, we like to take people back, not I was 3 years old. I got my first junior hacksaw, whatever it is, and decided I was going to be a carpenter. But take us back to sort of like 16, you're leaving school, or do you go to college, all that type of stuff. And give us a bit of backstory, because I'm sure, your social media, you've got a good following on there. Loads of people talk to you, but they don't really know you.
No.
And it was Sean, actually, whose hat you've got on, that sort of gave me the nod to go and have a look at the work that you do. And it would just be good to get a bit of background about yourself and tell everybody who's listening and watching exactly what it is that you do and how you got to be on the Trade Legends podcast.
Yeah, so thanks for having me, first of all. So 16, probably not far off where a good start would be. So when I was probably 13, 14, I've always been into drawing and making things. I used to draw house plans and stuff like that. And as I went sort of through my life, and my dad was a handyman and making stuff like that. And in I worked in an engineering place. So basically, in 2011, when I was 17, my parents were no longer around. So I was pretty independent from that point on. So I got a job. I had my own house from 17. Blah 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 blah. Cut to sort of 2021. Time, maybe just a bit before COVID, I started doing jobs on the side just for neighbours and stuff like that, and really getting to draw stuff up and make stuff and draw stuff and make stuff, and I was really loving it. And I had a bit of an idol at that point who I really looked up to, a bit of a father figure to me, who's now gone, sadly. He always encouraged me to. He was like, life's bigger than.
Was he a carpenter as well?
No, he was. He was in the building trade when he was a bit younger, and then he re-educated himself, went back to uni and got into like software and stuff like that. But he was a really good leader, and he was awesome, brilliant to just know him, just to be around. So he always encouraged me to. He was like, look, what you're doing with the carpentry stuff, you could do that as a job, And I was like, no, I'm quite comfortable where I am, that.
I think when you're just doing stuff on the weekend, in your mind, it's just a bit of extra money, but you don't realise that this is like the first signs of being able to go, right, okay, I've got enough of that business now. I can sort of migrate myself to my own business. When did you sort of come to that realisation? Because I presume you're still doing your normal job, and then you're doing these jobs on the side. How long down that route did it take you?
So it was about 2 years. So unfortunately, it did actually take my friend Andy, who I've just mentioned, dying, to give me the kick up the bum to actually do it. He passed away 3 years today, funnily enough. And I thought,
it's a sign to get
strange, isn't it? Yeah. It's also my missus' and mine's anniversary, which is even weirder. But yeah, he passed away, and
I'm sorry for bringing you here.
Yeah, no, it was weird. When I booked it, I was like, it's just such a strange date. But anyway, and then I thought, wow, life's too short. I really owe him to at least give it a go. And I'd worked out. I was like, oh, I only really need to do one job a month to actually cover my base bills. It's not that scary of a jump to do it right now. I've got no kids. If I'm going to do it, now's the time. So within a couple of weeks of him passing away, I handed my notice in.
And is this around the COVID time as well?
Yeah, so this would have been, like I said, about 3 years ago. So this was probably in the thick of it, really.
Because that's a. I mean, so many people that we've had on here who've really blown up on social media. It was the COVID push, and I feel like a lot of people around about that time either did the self-employed thing or really focused on the social media.
Interesting.
And we've had loads, haven't we, that sort of, that back end of COVID, like in some people at the start, even Gemma, you remember the mural painter? Yep. She even said that she went from working in a gym to then doing her paintings and stuff online of celebrities and selling them during COVID. So it's a really like a big catalyst. I think people had to think, hold on a minute, what's going on here? And some people did very well, some didn't. But obviously, a lot of the trade community seems to have adapted and ran with stuff. So
yeah, I suppose people probably thought there must be more to life, and
been stuck indoors.
Yeah. I mean, my job before, I just worked in a factory, and I was there for 11 years, from when I was 17 till 20, 28, 29.
Yeah, I think you become comfortable.
Yeah, it's a thief of joy. Comfort is a thief of joy. And I had loads of people prior to me leaving saying that I could go and do it full time. I was like, no, I'm happy how I am. I almost lying to myself, because I wasn't happy. I was wanting more and more all the time, but that I just couldn't get from my job. Even though my job was all right, my managers were great and everything, I've always been a creative person, and that job was not creative at all, what I used to do. So now is literally, the job I do now is perfect for me. I like to draw stuff, and I like to make stuff, and that is exactly what I do now. I design things out of my own head, which I love. I do it for free. I never charge people to do it, to be honest, which makes me a terrible businessman. And then get to make them out of wood, which is great. Yeah.
So you've obviously, from talking about, I'm not going to drag it up too much, you've had quite big things happening in your lifetime. Obviously, you mentioned both your parents were around. I don't want to go back into that and start trawling stuff up for you, but I had something very similar where my father 9 years ago, had a big stroke. Weirdly, I met my wife in the hospital where he was being kept.
Right.
And I think that was a big catalyst for me and the sis selling the business and doing what we did.
Yeah.
Because, again, we were like, life's too short. So, you get this sad news of your friend like passing who encouraged you. So how does the business come about then? You just decide, right, I'm going to give it a go. Just explain to people, because I know there's going to be loads of people listening and watching to this.
Yeah.
Same situation, every night, every morning, doing the same thing, getting up, going to the same place, thinking, I could do this, or I'm doing more jobs on the weekend, but I don't know how to make that jump. Just give people a bit of an explanation as to like how you did it. If there was anything that you wish, actually, I could have done this better, which would have meant the business grew quicker, or I could have got more work in, or it took me a while to do this. Yeah. I know sometimes it's hard to remember these things, but
no, I mean, I think really the answer is, unfortunately, really quite simple, and it's just at some point you just need to do it. You just need to jump. Obviously, the weekends are great. Your job's paying your bills. Your weekends are perfect. Yes, you're going to have to make some sacrifice. In the early year or two, I wasn't having days off at all. I might have one weekend out of the month.
What about investment in tools and stuff like that?
I just spent everything I ever earned from that side gig. I spent it all.
Yeah.
Every sometimes I spent the deposit from the job. So one of my first big jobs at the time was this pergola with like $4,000 pergola thing that I was doing. And I was like, right, it's 50% up front and 50% at the end. but I knew I needed a table saw for the job, and I didn't have the money for the table saw. So she paid the deposit, and I bought the table saw to do the job.
Yeah.
So, you know, literally, yeah. I mean, my job is paying the bills, so...
Yeah. I mean, that sounds pretty simple. What you've done there is you get somebody else to fund it by staggering the payment. But a lot of people don't think like that and think, oh, I can't take that job on because I haven't got that tool to do the job. Yeah. So even something like that, I know, like, to you it was instinctful, but some people will be sitting there thinking, oh, God, why didn't I just do that? I could have taken that job. Yeah. So that's a good little nugget.
There's some tools out there that can really make or break little jobs and make you competitive, you know, even just things like owning a nail gun.
Yeah.
You know, try hand nailing a cladding on a shed. It's going to take you days, you know, whereas a nail gun's, you know, you can get one for a few £100 these days, whatever you buy.
What was your best investment tool-wise? Because
it probably isn't it, the nail gun, to be honest. It's one of the first tools I ever bought, a Pazload, and I still own it to this day, and I've got a couple more. And yeah, that was a great buy. And then more recently, the timber framing equipment that I bought, because they had made good money. Yeah. So they were good investments. Yeah. But yeah, I've always been, I run my life, I'm not extravagant, you know, I've got quite a cheap mortgage. We haven't got multiple cars or nothing like that. In fact, my van costs more than my mortgage, so that shows you where my commitment is. Yeah. So I just pile as much as I can into the business. Yeah. Some people are like, how have you just bought that? I was like, because I don't spend it on anything else. This is my life. This is what I love doing. Yeah.
So I think if you want to be able to pick and choose your jobs or do jobs to a specific high standard, you have to reinvest money back into the business. Absolutely. And for what tradespeople do, tools are essential, but it also means that A, you can probably find new ways of doing things, B, save yourself a bit more time, and C, it just makes your life easier. But a lot of people tend to think, well, I don't want to spend £400 or £500 on these tools because I'm only using them once or twice a week. But you might find that actually your business changes and you're taking on bigger jobs and you need to use that specific tool. So I think all the stuff that you've said there is really good for anybody that's sitting there and thinking, I need to take this jump. So you've got your tools. How far down into the self-employed route then is it before you start really thinking, well, actually it's all paying for itself. I can now start taking some money out of the business and I can pick and choose the types of jobs that I want to do. How long does that process take for you? Because it's different for plumbers to electricians to...
I'd say, I mean, I'm just now getting into an era where I'm actually starting to, like, people are coming to me for certain jobs that I don't like doing, like fencing, for example. And I'm actually not just saying yes because I need the job. I'm actually passing it off because I'm like, no, I can afford not to take that on. And that's only literally within the last couple of months because I want these big jobs, and I'm now working alongside another builder who's also self-employed. Yeah. We're taking on much bigger jobs. 6-figure jobs that I could have only dreamed of doing just a few years ago. So I'd say only more recently, maybe back a year, you know, some jobs were coming in. I was like, I don't have to take that. You know, there's no need to make my life hell. But yeah, I'd say you need to get a good couple of years. Start establishing a name in a community, you know, Facebook pages and whatever else you're using. Instagram's actually paid off. I don't do much socially on Instagram. Stuff like this is quite new for me. For me, Instagram's always been bit for business, and I try and steer it in that way.
Like a portfolio.
Yeah, exactly. And I've had some good business directly and indirectly through that. You know, I mean, probably 6 figures worth of work just through being on social media. Yeah. So it's been said before, but I think social media is quite a pivotal thing to be on there and showing how you do work and the quality of work. And
we always bang on about social media on here, and the amount of people that abuse me in the DMs because they're like, all you ever talk about is social media. But I was like, this is the podcast is social media. And what I try to say to people is, if you can just, you know, free yourself. If you're a business owner, like a trades business owner, you can free yourself up a little bit more time. This is where the better tools come in, or you're more organised, or you've got some sort of software that organises your invoices for you. You can spend a little bit of time doing the social media, which then grows your business. Yeah. You know, people see your work. I mean, like I said, I went back over your Instagram and I was like, hold on a minute, I've been on here for 40 minutes just looking at different things. Yeah. And people don't see that. People can watch you doing a job in real time. They can see the types of work that you've done and go, oh, actually, I quite like that for our house. And I keep trying to say to people, you got to use it more. You got to utilize it more, because it's a free tool. It just takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, for me, that the value is that. I mean, it's all right going down these brand routes and stuff like that, but in the early days they don't pay much. I'm sure much further down the line you can almost make a living off being an influencer. But for me, real life is the work, and that's one thing that nobody can take away. Instagram can be taken away. Your reputation and what you do can't be taken away. Yeah. So that's always been my number one priority. Always. Yeah.
People lose sight of that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's quite easy to get sucked in and I've got to put up 3-4 reels. I haven't posted anything in 2 weeks, I don't think, because I've got nothing interesting to show anybody. So what's the point? It's pointless in filling my page with absolute nonsense. Yeah. Because then if a customer wants to go and look at my work,
doing a dance with a piece of wood.
Yeah. The customers aren't going to be able to find anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's no use to me, so it's pointless.
One thing every small business owner has to deal with is staying on top of the numbers, the cash flow, the expenses, and the financials. Now, that's why I'm excited to partner with Xero, because it's genuinely built to make all of that so much easier. If you're not familiar with Xero, it's a global small business platform, an all-in-one cloud-based accounting software that is trusted by over 4 million subscribers, and it helps small businesses, accountants, and bookkeepers work smarter by simplifying everyday financial tasks. But the biggest game changer for me is how much time Xero saves. It automates things like bank reconciliation and expense tracking, so you're not wasting hours doing manual data entry or digging through spreadsheets. Your bank transactions sync in automatically, and you can check your cash flow in real time, anytime, from anywhere. Xero also helps you stay organised for tax time. You can track income and expenses, generate reports, and easily share what your accountant or bookkeeper needs without the back and forth on email. And because it's all cloud-based, collaboration is simple. You can give team members or advisors access, and everyone works from the same up-to-date information, whether on their laptop or on a phone. And if you've been thinking about getting your business finances under control, this is the perfect time to try Xero. There's a special offer, 90% off for 6 months when you use the custom link in the comment section. T's and C's apply. And lastly, I just want to say a huge thank you to Xero for sponsoring this video. Go check out the link, give Xero a try, and start saving time so you can focus on the things that are best for you and also running your business.
Well, one thing I want to go back to that you just touched on was, you mentioned obviously taking on 6-figure jobs. Now, a lot of people listening and watching go, 6 figures? They're going to think, A, it's impossible, or B, scary. You know, they hear 6 figures and it does get scary, because more money, more problems. Mr. Notorious B.I.G. was right on that. But it's just, where do you get to in your sort of cycle of self-employed where you think, okay, like you said, I can stop taking on those types of jobs, and you start putting yourself forward for those 6-figure, because I'm sure there's a lot of people, again, you know, not only the ones where they're sitting there thinking I need to change a career or I need to go self-employed, but there's a lot of people that negatively are telling themselves they can't do it. How do you gear yourself up to putting yourself forward for those types of jobs? Because I know obviously you get architect recommendations or whatever it is, but a lot of people be going, there's no point bidding for that, I'm never going to get it. Or there's no point quoting for that because I haven't got the tools or whatever it is. How do you get around that? What's the mindset of where you go, right, okay, I just need to start doing that for people?
Well, that for me, and this is probably, I'm sure everyone sort of experiences this, but every job I go into, and still now, every job I go into, I go in nervous. Because I'm like, especially if it's something new, slightly bigger than what I did last time, I go in nervous thinking, can I do this? And every time it comes out great. Because once you're in it, it's the same thing you did before, just slightly different, slightly bigger, slightly more expensive. It's the same thing over and over again. So I've sort of trained my mind to think, you worry about this every time and it always comes out great. So be more confident in going into this. And you mentioned there about architect. I did a job probably a year, 18 months ago. It was 2 like really nice canopies on the front of like £1 million houses, which for me was like, oh, I get to work on a house of that value. That's amazing. That's great
for the portfolio.
Yeah, and I didn't earn a lot of money because the builder that was running that job, and they'd almost run out of money basically. So I did 1 for the price of 2, but it wasn't about the money. It was about impressing the architect and the developer. The architect has just passed me that 6-figure job because he saw my work, and that's all that mattered at that point. I've done a couple of other bits for him since. So yeah, it takes a bit of sacrifice every now and again to try and impress somebody.
You got to lose a bit to win a bit, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and you turn up to a job, and all you can do is just put your best foot forward. That's cliche as anything, but just be yourself, which I've always been. You know, I don't pretend I'm some high flying professional company and turn up with me and brochure and everything. I'm just a lad from Sheffield that.
And your clipboard.
Yeah. Sometimes I take my laptop if I've got to draw stuff, but you know, it's just take some notes. And right, I'll speak to you soon, and go home and do my design work, which I absolutely love. Yeah. Which I think customers have always been very receptive to, because they're like, oh wow, that literally looks exactly like what we spoke about. And I think that's probably helped grow my business as rapid as it has, because I have been able to. You can almost make the project without spending a penny. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's just you just got to just keep putting your best foot forward and just be confident that you can do stuff.
I mean, there's a lot of people, and I know, because one thing that always comes up all the time, apart from, like, it always seems to be about apprenticeships, and pricing is the other thing that always comes up, because, again, somebody looking and thinking, oh, six figure job, I'm only used to pricing something that's 20,000. Like, is there anything that you do differently for a larger job? Is there anything that you think, actually, the first time I ever did this, I missed that? You know, is there any tips or tricks that you can give to somebody? Because there's so many reasons somebody can talk themselves out of doing something. Yeah. And I either find I've never done it before. Pricing, I don't know how long the job's going to take. You know, and somebody talks themselves, you know, you sit on the sofa yourself, and probably the first time you ever did it, oh, there's no point bidding for this, I'm not going to get it, or everything rolls through your mind. But pricing is one thing where people listening and watching are always like, how do you price these jobs? How do you quote for this? How do you know how long it's going to take if you're only used to doing a certain size job? Yeah.
Well, you couldn't go from making, like, let's say you just did a bit of fencing and landscaping and bits and bobs like that. You couldn't go from doing that to an oak-framed orangery, because you haven't got the tools, you haven't got the... So it is a gradual process, and obviously over that period you get to get a feel for how quick you can do certain jobs. More recently, like I said, I'm working with this builder now, so I can bounce with him and say, how long do you think it would take to get these foundations done? What, 3 weeks, right? Okay, 3 weeks. I know the oak frame will take that, so I can get a rough gauge then. And you know, you think, right, it's going to take, at worst case scenario, 12 weeks. How much money do I want to earn in that 12 weeks? How much do I need to pay my other builder? And then just go through the materials. Like, I mean, I'm probably oversimplifying it, but it's just what the materials are going to cost, what do you need to earn, whether you've got a workshop or whatever you need to price, whatever it costs to have you there. Just add the two together. I mean, I don't know how to go into it any deeper, to be honest.
Yeah, it's
maybe I'm just so used to doing it.
I think when you do it and you're confident in it, I think it's fine. But there are, you know, and this is, again, not taking anything away from tradespeople, the majority of people that we have on are either dyslexic, ADHD, some sort of neurodivergence, and also they weren't very academic at school. That's why you go into using these. So I always try and ask people like questions about stuff like that, because I feel like if you can just drop one little nugget or one thing where somebody goes, oh, I've not done that, and then they try it and it helps them, you sort of, you know, podcasts can be great for backstories and stuff like that, but I also try and like to educate people on certain things, because nobody really ever talks about that side of the business, and it's a big part of the business, because if you get it wrong, you don't have a business. So, you know, any information like you've just talked about there, the only other thing I'll probably ever add about the pricing is people forget to add on, like, how much it costs you to drive to the job. You know, the wear and tear on your van, because I think, well, I'm just in the van anyway, I use the van all the time. Little things like that if you add all of this into the job, then you're always going to be profitable. You know, tyres, you got to go get new tyres, or you drive over a nail on the job. You know,
I mean, I'm probably terrible at that in that respect. I mean, I always Excel sheets are great. That's one thing I found great. I've got 3 different ones. I have job trackers and I have job calculators, and over time, obviously, I've paid for, like, the first ever time I ordered glass. I was like, oh, you know, they've priced me that for them panes of glass. What's that actually work out a metre square? Oh, it's £90-100. Right, I'll keep a note of that, because in future I know I need 40 metres square of glass, so it's going to be about £4,000. So I don't have to keep contacting the supplier. So start building up a repertoire of what you've paid for things. Obviously, it changes a little bit, and that's where your margin comes on, whether you want 10, 15, 20% profit margin. to pay for your van and
that's quite good because then
that
people
sort of stuff.
say if you use something 10 times, you've got an average buy price.
yeah, you know what you pay. I do it with, obviously in the early days. It's getting a little bit more complicated now because there's a lot of new materials being introduced. Like I'm having to look how much slate is, how much stone is. So I'm still learning now, and how much per square meter it costs to lay bricks. That's not something I've had to deal with before. But like lengths of timber and stuff like that, you know, I know I pay £2 odd for that a meter square, so I'll just put in my calculator right out 40 at 4.8 meters. How much is that? Right. Boom, 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 boom. That tells me how much the materials should cost. 15, 20%, depending on what the market's like. Sometimes you have to drop it to win the work or whatever. And then how much I want to earn off it. And I've sort of, people I've spoke to in the past, I've seen people like, particularly like the furniture business, you know, the bespoke stuff.
Yeah.
People have got really high up and they make absolutely gorgeous wares. Like I'm still always struggling, but what they tend to do, and maybe I'm speaking broadly here, but a particular friend of mine, he's always seems to be always struggling, but he prices his stuff on a daily basis still. So the problem is he spent all this money on this equipment and stuff like that, and he's still only earning his day rate. So rather than a job earning you £2,000 previously, right, you can now make it in half time and you're now earning £1,000. It's like you've not helped yourself at all.
You've cut your legs off.
Yeah, you've bought all that equipment. You still need to be making the £2,000, and that's what encourages you to reinvest in the equipment. And
it doesn't matter whether you do it quick,
workshop.
whether you do it quicker. Obviously, you've seen that. It's like a meme where it says you're not paying me for like the time, you're paying me for the skills and the knowledge that I've learned. Yeah, so it's interesting you say that because I mean, so it varies so much with people that we have on or people that drop into the discussion with the podcast about like how people do things, pricing, all that sort of stuff. Like there's such a big variation on it, and there's a big gulf between people that do it and do it right and then people that have no clue on it. I mean, is there any, we talked off camera about sort of software that you use. You're using Xero for your accounting.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you use or anything else that helps you?
No, well, so the main things are the Excel documents. They're great because they're on the open docs, the Google Open Docs, so I can access it. My missus can access it. And in the last couple of years, my missus actually works for me now, which is great. She went self-employed, so that really helps the admin side of things.
Speeds everything up. Yeah.
I just drop receipts on the desk, and she keeps everything tidy and organised.
Thank God.
Yeah. To be fair, credit to me. I actually used to be quite good at it. I used to quite enjoy it, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I was turning jobs around that quick.
Time consuming.
Yeah, like on the smaller jobs when I was doing like gates and little pagodas and stuff, sometimes it was 2-3 different jobs a week. So it's all them invoices, all them receipts. And it's like, right, I need to sit down and like, right, what was that? And because I am a bit ADHD, everything has to be super neat. I was like, all them receipts are for that job. And so she's made my life a lot easier in that respect. But yeah, Xero, we had to swap to that anyway because I went VAT registered. So
just makes everything easier.
Yeah, it's just tidy and you can look back on stuff and see.
I feel like you can, if you get everything in order or some form of order that you understand, it makes everything easier for the future, if that makes any sense. So all the stuff that's happened, if you track it, you can sort of see where everything's heading, or actually that wasn't great. Let's try this, and you can rectify things within the business. And something like Xero or a good customer CRM or something like that, if you've got a lot of customers, like a plumber or something, you're trying to keep on top of stuff. It just frees you up with extra time and. You know, time they say is money. Yeah,
absolutely. I think if you can set out, when I first started, I'd done a neighbour for my job in like the January or the February, and they had a candle business, and he was like encouraging me as well. He was like, "You could do this as a business, you know." I'd built him this little playhouse. I was like, right, if I do it, I need to do it neatly because I don't want to be having like you see builders' vans with receipts stuffed out thing. I was like, I don't want that.
They open the van door and they all drop.
And because of the bit of like the ADHD, so I start from the get go, from day one. I've always been organised, and then it was just when she came on board, she just sort of digitised. I think I'd done 2 years while I was doing the accounting. She took the time and actually digitised so we can see exactly how much I've spent on fuel in the last 3 months.
HMRC expecting it.
Yeah. So everything's like super neat and tidy. I can ask her, you know, what did I spend on tools in the last VAT, you know, how much did I spend and how much have I got to pay on VAT? And she'll just like, I'll let you know. So yeah, I think if you're going to set out being self-employed, set out nice and keep everything nice and tidy because you even just like open a separate bank account up and rather than like having a personal account and everything's like intertwined, you're like, no, that's not a business expense. That is. Just open a new account, use that specifically, and then just pull. That's all. I still do it now. I have a business account, and I pull £1,000 out a month. She pulls £1,000 out, so that's our 12 grand each.
Yeah.
And then everything else, I either spend it or I pay tax on it end of the year. But I know that my tax-free allowance is gone, hers is gone.
Yeah, yeah.
So I know whatever's left in there is what I owe tax on or VAT on or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's just tidy for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it's a great way to run, to be honest. I don't know what it's like when you get as a bigger company, but for me, that's perfect.
I think people can overcomplicate things, but this is, you know, when I'm talking to you, you're probably thinking, why is he going on about pricing and focusing on this? But it's what I've gathered from talking to you, obviously, like everything was really comfortable. You've gone and done your self-employed thing. You've done everything yourself, so you've learnt that. And regardless of whether it's your missus or you bring in an employee, you're now employing someone else. Your jobs are getting bigger. And what I'm trying to sort of show somebody that's, again, listening or watching to this is do one thing, get good at it, do something else, and the business starts to...
Finds its feet.
You know, and you've got, obviously, your wife's doing it. She's got the Xero software. And before you realise it, you become super organised, which means that actually your business... you know, becomes easier to manage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're okay if you start taking on another carpenter or another engineer or whoever it is, then it gets a bit more complicated because you've got payroll and all that sort of stuff.
Which is something I'm not interested in, actually.
Which you do yourself, but, you know, it's not like you've got 10 people that you're employing. And that's where you sort of, if you can get that stuff right at self-employed, then you can start taking people on.
Yeah.
Until you get that stuff right, forget it.
Yeah, you can't start something like that with messy books, can you, and stuff like that. I mean, for me, how it is right now is perfect. The scale of jobs that me and this builder can take on is perfect for me. If I would tell you a dream job for me and him, it would be a stone and oak pergola extension, and that is literally the job we just got accepted. And so if we can keep it to that scale, just me and him, my missus managing my books, his missus manages his. We're both self-employed. There's no pay.
Both making good money.
Yeah. You know, he's got his van. We did talk about maybe going limited together, but then it's just a bit messy. And I've already got my own brand, and I really like what I've got going and my own reputation. I don't really want to just chuck that all the way to start again. So we just decided he manages stuff, and if a job comes in from one of his contacts, he basically will sub me in to work for him, and vice versa. And it's just simple. I like things that just work, and that just works for us.
So you get the company to where it is now. Everything's sort of, I don't want to jinx you because I'll touch a bit of wood. Manageable. You know, where do you see what you're doing moving forward? Do you see, you know, okay, we really like this type of job. This is what I'd like to continue doing. Do you see yourself apprentice? Do you see yourself taking anyone else on? Do you like what do you see for the future? I know obviously Sean was talking about he sends you a few rigs, doesn't he? And
I bought every one bar one, I think, of those rigs over the years.
Maybe brand work, or what is it that you see sort of coming from the business that you're doing now?
So first of all, I'm not really interested in any brand work. The brands I use, it's because they make good.
Sean's crying now.
Good gear.
Oh, he told me.
I buy his stuff. I buy his stuff. I support him.
That's
you know
good,
what I mean? Because he's a business like I am.
But it's funny that you should say that, because I know you say you're not interested in that stuff, but I always think those are the best types of partnerships. Is where, you know, Nick Bundy was an influencer for us here, and the great thing about having Nick promote the product was he actually used our head torches for years.
Yeah.
Didn't realise. He was like, I just bought this head torch, perhaps you love it. And he was like, is this one of yours? And I was like, it's one of ours, yeah. And I think that's when something works well. So somebody like Sean, where you're invested in the product, you've got 3 or 4 of them, and you like it, it works. That may lead to that. I know it's not what you know, what you're about or what you think you're about, but I think that's probably the best type if ever you were to.
Yeah, I can see that. I think a part of the buzz for running a business for me as well is I've always liked there's always a bit of success when you be able to buy that bit of equipment or you win that job. So I quite like buying the things, to be honest.
It's good to support someone like Sean as well.
You know what I mean? To be able to afford. I mean, I bought a tool last year that were 6.5 grand. And when I bought it at the time, I was like, am I mental? But then at the time I thought, well, you know, the money's in the business. This is a huge like win to have got to this point in 3 years to be able to buy this equipment.
I remember talking to, is it Derek Barrett? And I remember talking to him about his workshop, and he was saying like, I've spent this, and this. And I was like it blows your mind because you just, and this is, again, it's similar to, you know, you relay it back to here, we were talking about developing a product. People, when they see this stuff turn up, whether it's a fitted wardrobe, whatever it is, they don't see that side of it.
Yeah.
How much you've invested. I mean, 6,500, you know, to some people, that's like 3-4 months worth of wages.
Yeah. I think it is to me.
Yeah. so it's like to put that into perspective, like it's a big gamble for somebody.
Yeah.
And this is, again, where I try and encourage anybody listening and watching, you've got to think, look at people like yourself and think, well, he's done it. You know, you have to try these things. And if you don't, I don't think it'll ever work out for you. Yeah. You know, you can be too hesitant, but, you know, did you hesitate buying it, or did you just...
I didn't. In my head, when I do things, I always think, can I get out of this if things go wrong? I apply it to a lot of things, buying cars and stuff like that, and motorbikes and whatever. But also equipment. I think, if I buy all this equipment and then I'm struggling and I'm not getting the work, I think, then what? No, you just sell it. If you know, you've got the equipment, the chances are it's gonna come. If you put yourself in the right place and you put yourself out there, the work will come. But if for some reason it doesn't, or you have to shut your business, if you're buying high quality equipment, the chances are you can get most of your money back.
But say you say, like, this is on the flip side to anybody. Say you do buy it, and then you cut 2 days worth of work off a particular job. Like, if you total that over the course of the year, it's paid for itself in 12 months.
Yeah.
Or it's paid for itself in 6 months.
I think the reality is, and Derek probably has the same in his business with his big panel saws and stuff like that, to make good money and to make stuff in a timely manner, to make things affordable for people, you sort of need the equipment now. The timber framing equipment I bought, I can't even imagine how you'd make a living off doing it by hand anymore. It just doesn't seem feasible anymore. You can't chisel everything.
But also, I think it levels up your work.
Yeah.
Like, if I look at some of his work from when he first came on here, to some of the stuff he does now, like, I'm like... And that's the beauty about social media, looking at your profile, looking at other people's profiles, even Simon Bowler, some of the other people that I see doing, like, wicked work. I think, wow, you know, like, and you've seen that they've gone on this journey and bought these tools and stuff. Suddenly, you know, the jobs they do are, like, phenomenal.
Yeah, seem unattainable.
Yeah. And again, people, and this is why it's great to get people like yourself on, because you can talk about, well, I did that here. People go, well, I'm at that scenario now. If I try that, well, you know, and it doesn't work for everybody, but I'd say if you can take little snippets of what you're talking about, the pricing, the tools, and how you started the business and using Xero to get more organised, or Excel spreadsheets, sounds boring. But if you can get these bits right, you know, people will see the business take off.
If you actually care about what you do, and I would imagine most people that want to do something with it for a job, it's probably because they enjoy doing it, usually.
You'd hope.
Well, you'd hope. Some people are maybe just in it because they found out it makes good money or whatever. But I mean, if you do really love what you're doing, which I do, I think the customers can smell it. Do you know what I mean? They can sense it. The customer I went to go see in the last couple of days, they were like, look, I can see you're the right people for the job. You know, as long as the price is right, you've got it. And I think that comes across. So if you turn up to a job and you show how passionate you are, and look, this is what I've made, and I'm always so excited. And when I get to customers, I'm like, oh, this is gorgeous. Oh yeah, I can see this now. Oh, I'm always so giddy about doing these jobs, and that's never
You're
gone.
more excited than they are.
Yeah, I really am. I love it.
I mean, it's got to be like, again, I'll go back to, you know, no disrespect to plumbing, because you can turn up and somebody's got this tiny space that you've got to ram a boiler, and sometimes you can't do like fantastic pipe work, and you've just got to get it. Got to get it in there. But when you're turning up, especially now you're doing these bigger jobs, and you look and you think, wow, if I put this here or put that there, and you really get to sort of like get creative with it, it's got to be like a great. That's probably what comes across to the customer, because you think, wow, I can work with this. So that's why I sort of like the carpentry side, because you know, there's so many different things that you can do.
Yeah, I think that's like I said, with the picking, the choosing the jobs now, that's why I'm trying to go for these slightly, not only because there's there isn't two mouths to feed effectively, but there kind of is at the same time. I want jobs that suit me and Phil really well. So ones that aren't really heavily, because he's construction. He can do anything. He can build a house basically from the ground up. And I obviously really like my carpentry. So if we can do jobs like garden rooms, extensions, something that pulls on both our skill sets, I can start learning a lot more as well from him, because he's a lot older than me. He's 57, so he's had 40 years in the game. Then yeah, that's what it's pointless in me just going to go and fit a garden gate, because what's he going to do? He don't, you know what I mean? There's plenty of people out there that can do that.
Yeah.
So if I can, there's always going to be people, you know, your old clients that come back to you, and you'll always do stuff for them. But for new work, I'm trying to look now towards
those types of
those
jobs.
slightly bigger jobs where we can both be creative. He can let loose and get his teeth into, you know, gorgeously, like he loves his lead work and loads of different stuff that we can
That's a dying trade as well. The
lead
work.
He wants to spend more time doing that. To be honest, he gets to do some on new builds and stuff that he's done over the years, but not. And there's some gorgeous lead work on Instagram, and he wants to do more of that. So you know,
that's an art in itself.
Oh, yeah.
People just see it on the side of a house and think, they pay no attention to it.
Yeah, I mean, if you love what you do, that's what you want to do. You want to make a really nice job of stuff, don't you? So,
you do. Some people don't. But don't be one of them, ladies and gents.
It don't last. It don't last. You know what I mean? If you don't care about your work, Phil used to work for another building company, and they basically drove themselves into the ground, and they're dissolving because they didn't care anymore. Caring. It was all about the money. You know, the architect who's just passed us that job was passing them work for a period of time, and every single job there was problem after problem after problem. There was pinching money from one to pay for another, and eventually, because they're not getting any more work passed because the work's just not up to par anymore.
The Ponzi schemes come down.
They drove themselves into the ground. So yeah, I think if you care what you do and then do good work, you're always going to get more coming back. People tell people. You know what I mean? If you've done a crap job, they will tell people. If they've done a really good job, they'll tell them.
Yeah. Well, people only ever really tend to moan, don't they? So if you've done a crap job, news travels fast in this business.
Yeah. So that's all I can advise people. Just do something you actually like doing. Otherwise, it's always going to be an uphill battle. If you don't like doing it, then it's pointless. You might as well just be working for somebody else. Just give yourself unnecessary stress. But if you can find something you love doing, even though it might seem impossible in the early days. Something else I really love is photography, and maybe in another avenue, maybe I could have chased that, because that seems like that's another one of them skill sets where it's like, how do people live off photography? Because I can't even get somebody to pay me £50.
You could still mix it with your work.
But I do it in a little bit. I mean, the Instagram sort of gives me a chance to do a little bit of that, the artsy shots and stuff, the finished shots, and I do. That's another thing I do like doing, that sort of thing when jobs are done. But yeah, if you can find something you like doing, and then slowly, I mean, day jobs are great for allowing you to start these things on the side. You know, I was using my holiday time to do jobs. I was using my bank holidays were great. 4 days to get a job done. Brilliant. A great time to build up business and do a wedding and, you know, whatever. Yeah. There's ways to, if you love doing it, there is a way.
You find a way, yeah.
There is a way.
Yeah. So what we tend to do, what time are we on? Let's have a little look. What time did we start?
We've been going about 45 minutes.
45 minutes. So what I tend to try and do around about this time is we try and get you to give a bit of advice to somebody, or you can shamelessly plug your Instagram or whatever you've got going on. But I like to try and get you to give a bit of advice to somebody that's potentially at different stages, obviously just starting out, wanting to go self-employed, or people that are self-employed but want to take things further and, you know, get to quoting six-figure jobs. It could be about anything, but just a little bit of advice for people, or some sort of knowledge, or something that you can just drop for the audience.
I think it's probably just summing up basically everything we said, which is life's too short. You can do it. Just go do it. Yeah. It is really that simple. Life is very short, and if you hate your job, which most people do hate, just working at Starbucks or whatever else, you know, you can absolutely do anything you want. And that sounds so cliche, I know, but it is true.
I think a lot of people just don't know where to start. And this is where I get frustrated with people, because people will land in my messages and say, oh, can you tell me about this, or can I ask you a question about it? I answer everything. Yeah. My wife's like, why are you answering somebody at 10 o'clock? Because I feel like if you've got that knowledge, that one little nugget that you drop out to somebody might just change somebody's day or change somebody's trajectory. And you think, you got to try and help other people.
Yeah, you can. There is a lot of people out there. I'm one of them, like yourself. I will. Anybody who messages me asking questions, whether it's the job we just spoke about, the big job. How did you price that so quick, or what did this another? And it's surprising the amount of people that go, "Oh, thanks for replying." Nobody ever replies on Instagram. It's like, are people grown so big that they're just like, "Oh, I don't need to. I don't need to talk to them poor people."
I always remember when I first started doing the social media, especially talking to influencers, because I was always like, "Wow, this person's got 100,000 followers." Like I was of that mindset back in the day, and I used to just think, "Oh, I've just messaged them. Are they going to message back?" And I used to get like, and the ones that did, I was like, "Oh, thank you so much for replying," and I just feel like I could never be like that with somebody. If somebody messages me, I always try to go back or say, "Look, I can't answer that," or "This is what I do," or whatever it is. But I want to go back to, obviously you mentioned life's too short. I know, again, don't want to drag up the past. But if your friend hadn't have passed away, do you think you would have got out of that comfort zone and gone and done it? Do you think you might have done it, but 5 years later? And I always think, I don't look at it as, what's happened is terrible, and it shouldn't take for somebody to get ill or something like that to give you the kick up the arse. But I always find out something really bad, something really good comes from.
Right.
But do you think if that hadn't have happened, that you would have started when you did, or ever started at all?
That's an interesting question. I think probably more likely it would have just took a lot longer. Because I had, like I said, before he passed away, I did have it going for a couple of years, and I'd started doing some work. But I think it would have took me a lot longer and a lot of encouragement from him to make the leap. He'd had his own businesses previously building, like I said, subcontracting out, building houses and stuff. So I think eventually he would have convinced me, just because he was that sort of guy. He led by example. But yeah, it unfortunately did take it on that occasion. But if you surround yourself with people that inspire you rather than drag you down, if you're hanging around with people that can't be asked to do anything with their lives and stuff like that.
You don't realise it though yourself when you're in that.
Yeah.
You're hanging around with people and they're not, I wouldn't say ambitious, but they don't want anything extra in their life.
Yeah.
So honestly, I feel like it's great when you get people that encourage you, because some people never get that.
Yeah.
And it's sad that it took for something like that to push you in that direction. But if you look now, it's probably the best thing that's happened to you.
Yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, you definitely need to surround yourself by people. I mean, Instagram's the easiest way to surround yourself by people that are, you can literally go on there and go, "Wow, love what they do, try and talk to them, blah, blah, that, that your circle of life, back in the day, is just people that you lived around. Now there's an infinite world you can connect with and be inspired by. Yeah.
I mean, tips and tricks, you can watch people's work, you can see how they've put things together.
Yeah.
It's just like the resources now with social media, going back to that, it's just unbelievable.
I still do it now, still to this day, and every job, probably for the foreseeable, if there's somebody that's done something before I've done it and they've done a really good job, I am not scared to ask. An oak frame I did recently, it was very detailed. I was like, how am I going to sort this glazing out and blah, blah, blah. And the guys from HB Oak Frames, which I really get on with, we went to a show with them and what have you. He's great, They're a big oak framing company, but also happy to jump on a video call and say, "Look, this is what we use for our fixings. We recommend you use them. This is what we use for the glazing tape," and just send you the links to say, "Well, this is what we use. We've tried everything. We've been there, done that. This is the shortcut. That's what you want to be using." They didn't have to do that. They could have sent me an invoice saying, "Right, that's what you owe us for the advice." They didn't, and I would be the same to somebody else. If somebody messaged me saying that oak frame's gorgeous, but how did you do that? And chances are I've probably got a picture because I take pictures of everything. Send her a picture and say, that's how you do that, or whatever. And I don't know everything. I probably know like 20% of this game, and there's so much more to learn. And then, like I say, if there's people around me that I look up to and they're willing to give advice and help, then I will always try. And Phil, it's funny. Phil's always so when I did these canopies on these new builds, the wood was terrible. It was really badly sawn, but I tried to make do because I didn't want to walk off the job and come back weeks later and what have you. So I'd had a go at doing it, and I was like, it's pretty good, but it's not perfect. And I said, Phil, come have a look at this, see what you think. And he looked at him, what do you think? I was like, okay, it's not good enough. He didn't even have to say anything. Yeah. But his standard of work's so high, which is why I like him. And I respect his opinion. Yeah.
You should be able to say that to people.
Yeah, he just said, what do you think? Because he knew it was already bothering me that it wasn't perfect. And that's what you need. You need people like that around you that make you question, is it good enough? No, it's absolutely not good enough. I need to do better. Yeah. You don't want people to go, oh, yeah, that'll do. Yeah, that'll do. They won't see that anyway. Just get paid, get gone. You don't need that. You need people who push you. Yeah. For sure.
Good. Well, I just want to say, before we wrap it up, if you enjoy what we do on the channel, the support really helps us. We get to have great guests on. Give us a like, subscribe, follow us on all the social channels. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for travelling all the way from Sheffield, because I know obviously it's not a short journey.
No, it's not. I came for the water.
The water and the tea. But I just want to say, love your work, carry on doing great work, and thank you very much for coming on and spending an hour with us talking about your business. It's, for anybody listening and watching, listen to what's been said to you, because if you take one thing away, just one little thing, it can completely revolutionise what you do. So thank you very much.
Thank you.